Hi everyone and welcome to Book Booth. My name is Rachel and today I'm very excited about today's video. I'm going to talk about all the spooky books that I'm hoping to read this fall. I have 20 different books to show you today. Hopefully a lot of these maybe you haven't heard of, so if you're looking for some books to add to your spooky reads for the fall season, then hopefully I have some good recommendations for you. I've not read any of these. These are ones I'm hoping to be able to get to, but guys, this was really hard to narrow down. If you haven't been to my channel very much at all, you may not know about me. I love to read spooky books year round, and a good chunk of the books on my Goodreads TBR are scary, spooky, paranormal books. So trying to narrow it down to what I want to read this fall is really hard. But I was able to at least narrow it down to 20. So I've got my Goosebumps shirt here with me just to kind of get me in the spooky mood, and I've got my list. I also have my trusty Kindle Fire here to show you pictures of books where I don't have the physical book, because several of these I don't have. So I'm going to have to purchase them or get them from my library or something, but that way you can at least see the covers, because these covers are really, really cool and hit the vibe awesomely. Also, some of these books, I tried my best to read through all the synopses, whatever it is in plural. I tried to read through all of those before I did this video, but they're all kind of running together and I may or may not remember fully what each book is about, but I will do my darndest to try to remember. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to talk about middle grades first, then I'll do some YAs and some adults. So I've got a nice mix here. The first one is one I actually just purchased. I ordered it for my birthday and it came in the mail yesterday, so perfect timing. And that is The Accidental Afterlife of Thomas Marsden by Emma Trevane. And this is a middle grade that sounds nice and spooky. If you can see from the cover here, we are following this little boy and he is a grave robber. I'm not really sure why he's a grave robber. Haven't read the book yet, but he finds a shallow grave, and in that grave he finds a little boy who looks exactly like him. That sounds really creepy. And it goes from there. I think there might be some fae elements to this as well. So maybe like kind of like that doppelganger thing. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about this, but it just sounds really intriguing. Just the idea of finding a dead body that looks exactly like you sounds really, really creepy. And I'm for it. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So there you go. There's the first one. Next is one that I think is such a gorgeous book. It's another one that I own. And it is Constable and Toop by Gareth P. Jones. First of all, I love it when books come like this, when they don't have the dust jacket and it's just the hardback and it looks this, I mean, look at the gold gilding. It's beautiful. Okay. This story is all about ghosts. It takes place in London, and there is like a paranormal ghost society that's supposed to kind of like keep track of the ghosts and the spirits that are in London. And then some of the ghosts start going missing and they investigate, and then there's some kind of type of illness or plague or something that's hurting the ghosts, to where ghosts are getting sucked into haunted houses and being trapped there. That's all I know, and it sounds amazing. I am all about the paranormal spooky stuff, and I like the idea of ghosts disappearing and trying to kind of like save the ghosts. That sounds like a really interesting premise. That's not usually something I hear a lot. So I'm very excited about this one. I've heard it's really funny and just cute and well read, and I think there's also some well-known kind of like paranormal characters that are in this story as well, from like classics or different things. I don't know. It just sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm really excited about that one, and I've had that one on my shelf for quite a while, so I'm excited to get to it. The next one is Ghouls of Hellfair by Nick Tomlinson, and this looks like such a lovely cover of some spooky looking ghosts in front of, I assume, a haunted house. This is about the town of Hellfair and a little girl that is obsessed with ghost stories and obsessed with kind of the supernatural paranormal history of this town. Apparently there's a lot of kind of like paranormal stuff going on in this town, and she likes to research it, and some creepy things start happening in the town. That's all I know, but it sounds perfect. If it's middle grade and it's ghosts and it's paranormal, I will most likely love it. So I'm excited to finally get to reading this one, because I've had it on my shelf for a while as well. I really hope I get to all of these, but I don't know if I will. I'm going to try my best. Okay, now we're going to start jumping into ones that I don't have physically. So the next one, I adore this cover. It sucked me in immediately as soon as I saw it, because it looks perfectly spooky, and it just, the vibe Look at the vibe. Oh my goodness. It is called The Haunting of Evelyn Jones by Phil Hicks. This looks fantastic. This girl sounds like she's me. She really, really loves to read ghost stories. She's absolutely obsessed with them. And she stumbles upon a book that has, oh, my dog just sneezed. Sorry about that if you hear that. Bless you, Moon Moon. Okay, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so she finds a really creepy book that has some scary stories in it, and on top of that, this book was owned by a girl who disappeared a long time ago, and apparently after she finds this book and starts reading it, some creepy things start happening, and I believe it escalates from there. So it sounds like a lot of fun. I think this is a series, I think there's a second book with this character that's out now or coming out soon. But I love this cover. It just really grabs me, and the story sounds great, and I'm really excited to get to it. And I've heard a few other people on BookTube that have read it and enjoyed it as well. So I'm excited to get to that one. All right, next, this one sounds perfect for Halloween because it's centered around Halloween, and it is called The Halloween Moon by Joseph Fink. This one sounds like a lot of fun. We're following a protagonist. It's her last Halloween, probably. Her parents think, honestly, that she's too old to go trick-or-treating, but she wants to go do it one last time. She loves Halloween so much, and she's so excited to get dressed up and go trick-or-treating. And then it finally gets here. It's Halloween night, and she goes out trick-or-treating, and she notices that her town is a little off. Nobody's answering their doors, and there's not very many people out trick-or-treating, but there are strange kids dressed up in costumes, but she's not entirely sure if they're costumes, and time seems to be moving strangely. And she realized that some kind of curse has been put on the town to where it's stuck on Halloween night. And she teams up with another little boy that I think she doesn't really like that much, and then another adult, and they team up to see if they can break the curse and get Halloween to move on to the next day. Sounds like a lot of fun. I love stories that are centered around Halloween and trick-or-treating and everything like that. I love it so much. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It kind of gives me like a Hocus Pocus vibe, which I'm all for. So, all right, so those are my middle grades. Let's move on to some YA ones here. Okay, so this one I do own, and that is Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. This one I have been wanting to read for such a long time. I love the look of this cover. It reminds me so much of The Ring. You know how like she comes out of the well and her hair is like in her face? It just makes me think of The Ring. All right, so in this story, there's this town where there is a forest, a haunted forest, and once a year there is a path that opens up on the forest, and I guess if you reach the end of the path, you run into this really creepy ghost, and you have to follow specific rules to be able to come out alive. I don't know why you would go in the first place. That sounds like a death wish. So first of all, I'm not sure why people will do this. But apparently a girl goes and disappears, and her sister or her friend, I can't remember which, ends up going on the path, I think the next year, to see if she can find out what happened to her friend and or sister. And we follow them on the path and all the creepy weird things that happens on the path, and having to see if they can follow the rules, otherwise they'll vanish. Get it? Rules for vanishing. So I think this one's gonna be really good. I've seen several people on BookTube read it and say it's really creepy, which I'm for it. I'm ready for some creepiness. So bring it on is what I say. Okay, so that one's going to be a lot of fun. All right, and now I have several other YA ones that I do not have. So let me pull up. Uh-oh. Ugh. Okay, sorry. I thought my Kindle locked up for a second. I was like, oh no. All right, this next one, if I can find the cover for it, is not a new one. A lot of people will have heard of it before, and it is called The Near Witch by V.E. Schwab. That is a very white cover. I'm sorry, the lighting's kind of messing with it. But this is, I've read several V.E. Schwab's works. I'm trying to slowly work my way through them, and this one sounds really interesting, and I think it'd be perfect to read in the fall time, mainly because it's called The Near Witch. I always think of witches in October. It just, you get what I'm saying. In this story, there's a town, and there's a legend of a witch that lives in the forest, I think, and some kids start going missing, and people start wondering if the Near Witch isn't a legend like they thought it was. I think that's all I really know. I know there's more to it than that. I think there's a little bit of romance to it. I don't know much else than that, but it sounds interesting, and I like reading V.E. Schwab. I'm interested to try to read all of her stuff because I think she writes some really interesting characters and some really interesting stories. So I'm excited to give this one a try, and I think the fall will be the perfect time because I like reading witchy books in the fall. So I think it would be great. This next one, the cover is incredible. I don't know what it is about covers with girls' faces and things like flowers being used in a strange way, like the book House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland very much has this. But this is Horrid by Katrina Leno. I get so locked in when I see a cover like this. It just draws me in, and it looks so freaking creepy. And I'm all about that. I'm just like, yes, I don't even care what this is about. I want to read this book. In this story, we're following a girl and her mom. Her father's recently passed away, so her and her mother moved back to her mother's hometown in Maine from California. And they move into the house her mother grew up in, and some creepy stuff starts to happen in the house. And our protagonist, our girl here, she ends up finding a room that's locked in the house, and she ends up getting into the room, and it's like this abandoned children's room, and she doesn't know why it's there. Whose room was this? Sounds really creepy. So I'm all about anything that's got some haunted house vibes. It sounds like it's going to be kind of psychological too. It sounded like it had some psychological thriller aspects to it in the description. So I think this one's going to be really spooky, really mind twisty. I think it's going to be a good time, and I can't get enough of that cover. My goodness, it's so cool. All right, this next one's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, but I've read the Jack the Ripper series Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie Maniscalco, and within the past few years, she's come out with a brand new series, and the vibes sounded wonderful because it's very witchy vibes, kind of like witch and demon vibes, so it sounds really, really cool and perfect Halloween-y. And the first one in the series is Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. This story, we are following a young lady who her twin sister has recently been brutally murdered. Her and her sister are both witches in hiding. They don't want people to know that they're witches. But when her sister is brutally murdered, she decides she wants to find out who did it and to seek revenge. And she ends up kind of thinking that maybe she's going to end up doing some dark magic, which is forbidden to do, but she's willing to do anything to try to find out who killed her sister and to take revenge. And while she's trying to figure out who the killer is, she ends up running into this guy who is a demon prince or something. And he also is trying to find whoever is killing a string of women within the town, and they kind of band together to find out who the murderer is. And I think they have a thing for each other, and it's kind of like a forbidden romance type thing. So I'm not a huge romance reader, but if it's got some strong paranormal vibes, I'm more intrigued to read it because it sounds like it's going to be dark and creepy and foreboding. I've also heard, I think this takes place in Italy, if I'm correct, and there's a lot of descriptions of delicious food, which I'm for that too. So I'm all about some food and some paranormal, maybe just a pinch of romance thrown in there. So I'm hoping I really like this. The Stalking Jack the Ripper series for me was okay. There were moments of it I really, really liked, and some I was just kind of like, eh. So I'm hoping this one's better than Stalking Jack the Ripper, or at least more to my liking, but we'll see. I would like to give it a try though. And the cover is really cool. It looks really spooky. Can't go wrong with a book snake, and a skull on the front. Perfectly creepy. Okay, next one, again, really cool cover, called A Wicked Magic by Sasha Laurens. This is obviously very witchy sounding as well. When I see the front of this, I think of Salem from Sabrina because of the cat. It's just it makes me so happy. So in this story, we were following two best friends who are dabbling in witchcraft, and they end up doing something they shouldn't. They end up doing some spell or summoning something they shouldn't. And because of that, one of the girls' boyfriends is murdered or disappears, I think. And then they both decide not to be friends anymore because, like, what have we done? Oh my goodness. And they kind of stop dabbling in witchcraft. And then they find out that the boyfriend is not actually dead, but he's been captured by some demonic something, and so they decide they want to try to save him, and I think they still kind of end up messing stuff up through that. I don't know. So it sounds great in that it just sounds like a good, like, witchy Halloween time. So I'm looking forward to this one too. I think it sounds really cool. And I kind of like the idea of sort of like these spells gone wrong kind of thing. That sounds really interesting to me. I think that would be really cool. All right, this one sounds like a classic slasher, like 80s movie, and I'm so for it. And I've actually heard people have really said it's good. Like it's actually a good story and it's creepy. And it's called Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. So the cover honestly looks really campy, but that's what drew me in because I was like, oh man, I would love to read. I don't know. The cover reminded me of My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. It has that like 80s slasher vibe, the cover, and this one for some reason makes me think of that too. I don't remember what the synopsis is for this one. I think it's literally a killer clown. What else do you need? It's like it, right? I don't know. I think it sounds like a fun time, and I don't like really watching movies like this, but I like reading books like this. So I'm excited to give it a try, and it just sounds like a good time. I mean, it's a murderous clown. I think it's going to be awesome. All right. This next one is kind of hitting the same vibe as Clown in a Cornfield, but the cover sucked. That's not a word. The cover sucked me in. The name of the book sucked me in, and it's called Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. Look at that creepy, like pumpkin jack-o'-lantern creature thing. I don't know what's going on here, but it looks so perfectly Halloween and spooky, and I love it. From what I remember of the synopsis, it's this town that there is some kind of like pumpkin creature thing that comes out of the cornfield every year, and it's like a rite of passage for the young men in the town to try to kill this creature. And apparently but also it's dangerous. Like this creature can kill them and has killed some of the people that have attempted to kill it. I think that's kind of what I remember. That's a little vague, I'm sorry, but that's kind of what I remember from the synopsis. But it sounds like a good time. I'm all about it. I think that we're following a protagonist who is wanting to be a part of this sort of like initiation ceremony, or wanting to be a part of this thing that this town does every year, and hoping that he can be the one to stop this creature and then become popular. I don't know, but it just sounds like a good time, and that cover I kind of love it. It's just like so perfectly Halloween, and I'm all about that. Okay, I have one more YA book to talk about, and this is a recent release, and it is called The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas. Again, the cover, look at his eyes. Like I can't look away. Can you look away from that? It's so creepy. It's this is a really cool cover. This one is about a boy, Mr. Jake Livingston here, I think, and he's able to see ghosts. And apparently there's a ghost at his school who wants to take revenge and get all creepy and murdery on people. And he has to stop them. I think that's what the premise is. And that's all I need to know. I like it when there's a malevolent spirit and like, how are we going to stop it? I love those storylines. I think they're so fun. So, voila! It's going to be a good time. All right, let's talk about some adult books now that are nice and spooky. This one has been on my TBR for a long time. I've had this on my TBR cart for a long time. I'm kind of embarrassed I haven't read it yet. And that is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I feel like everybody's read this one. I feel very behind on this. This is a retelling of The Turn of the Screw, which I have never read. I partly feel like I should read it before I read this, but then at the same time, I don't know if that would spoil this for me because I don't know how close it kind of goes with The Turn of the Screw. But with this one, we're following a woman who is a nanny for a family with several kids, and the house that this family lives in is like a smart house, and it's overly technologically savvy home, and I think one of the kids ends up being murdered, and people think the nanny did it, but this is her story, and she's saying no, it wasn't me. And it's just, this house is just straight up creepy. So it sounds like a fun story to me. I'm really interested to read it. this is one of those ones I'm not sure if I'm going to love or not. Like, I feel like I'm going to love it, but I'm afraid to read it. Does that make any sense? That's how I feel like sometimes with books, where I'm like, I think I'm really going to love this, and then I get afraid to read it. But I'm hoping I really enjoy it. I've heard really good things, so I'm excited. I'm excited to try it out. All right. Let me get some images up here for some more adult books. Okay, this one sounds like a lot of fun. It doesn't have very high ratings, but the premise just sounds perfect. And it's called Ghostland by Duncan Ralston. This one, I don't really remember the synopsis for it. I just remember that it's about a theme park that's supposed to be haunted. And it's advertised that way. It's a haunted theme park, but people come there because it's a haunted theme park. They come there to be freaked out. So I don't know anything else other than that. That feels like enough for me. I love the idea of like haunted theme parks. Just sounds so cool. Like, have we ever seen pictures of like old rundown theme parks that aren't open anymore and things are like all grown over and it looks creepy? That's what this makes me think of, except this is supposed to be open. People go there and it's terrifying and it sounds like a good time. So yes, I will be living my best life reading this book. All right, this next one I am really excited to read, but I'm afraid it's going to freak me out because I have a 5-year-old daughter who loves dolls. She's a lot of Barbies and things, but she also loves baby dolls and things like that. And I'm afraid this book is going to creep me out and then make me afraid of dolls. It's called Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. And I lied a little bit ago. I didn't get to read every single book synopsis today. So some of these I'm just off memory from several months ago. This is all I remember about. This is about dolls that either they're highly technologically savvy and they like watch everything, like they record everything, or the dolls are like malevolently paranormal. I can't remember. It's something about dolls and dolls watching you, which sounds terrifying. And I'm really intrigued, but scared. It makes me think of Child's Play. So, I mean, why not? Sounds like a perfect time. Why don't I scare myself so I'm afraid of all my child's toys? Sounds like a good idea, right? Okay, I've got 4 more left. This next one sounds like the coolest stinking premise, and I'm really excited about it. It's called The Invited by Jennifer McMahon. McMahon. I think it's McMahon. From what I remember of this synopsis, it is about a couple that builds a house, and they build the house intentionally wanting it to be haunted. I think that's what I remember. I can't remember if they like specifically pick land that a lot of bad stuff has happened on, or if they used materials from somewhere where bad things have happened. I can't remember, but they intentionally build a house that's haunted, if I'm remembering correctly. And that sounds amazing. So yes, color me intrigued. It just sounds fascinating. Okay, this next one, I keep saying this next one, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm repeating myself an insane amount of times, but I hope you're enjoying yourself and finding some new recommendations. I am struggling to find the cover for this one. There it is. A Tale of Sleepy Hollow, Horseman by Christina Henry. Need I say more? Christina Henry writes a lot of retellings. She's written several retellings having to do with Alice in Wonderland. She wrote a Peter Pan retelling, which was amazing, called Lost Boy. And if you haven't read it, it is chef's kiss. It's disturbing. It's super disturbing, but it's worth it. But she's doing a Sleepy Hollow Headless Horseman one. And I was so excited, you guys. I hope it's amazing because I love the Headless Horseman. I love that story. It's so creepy. Almost every year, or like every other year, I would carve the Headless Horseman like picture on a pumpkin and carve it in every year because I love the depiction of the Headless Horseman. I think it's so creepy and so cool. I grew up watching the Disney animated little like Sleepy Hollow movie. I love it. I love it. And I'm really excited to see what Christina Henry does with it. I hope it's amazing, because when I saw this, I didn't even need to read the synopsis. I was like, Christina Henry is doing a retelling for The Headless Horseman, and I'm all in, because she's really good at kind of taking things and twisting it even further. So yes, please give it to me, and give it to me now. Okay. This one, I think this one comes out in November. I can't fully remember. I think it's still a little bit till it comes out, but some people on BookTube have gotten ARCs for it, and I've read it and has said it is just as creepy as it sounds. And this is another one where I saw the cover, immediately knew I want to read that, not even really knowing what it was. And it's called Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Shaw, or Call. And first of all, that is such a disturbing picture. I mean, it's so creepy. And it is a haunted house story steeped in Japanese folklore. It's about this creepy lady here who is a malevolent bride spirit, and if you go into the home, you will get murderized. And I'm all about a murder ghost in a haunted house. And it sounds creepy. I've heard it is legitimately creepy, and I need it now, and I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to be freaked out by it. I think it's gonna be so fun to read. I'm so excited, you guys. I don't want to wait though. That's the thing. I think it doesn't come out to November, and I want it for October really bad. I do. If anyone wants to send me an ARC, like if you have an ARC of this and you're done reading it and you want to share the love, please feel free, because I really want to read it. Okay. Last one. This is one I'm not 100% sure if I want to read it or not. If I can find the cover. It's like blending in. I'm like slow going through these. Oh no, is the cover not on here? Oh, there it is. Okay. Scared myself. I was like, I know I got all the covers for these. Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. All right. I have read the Illuminae Files. I have also read their other companion things that they did, not companion, but like Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff wrote the Illuminae Files together, and then they wrote another series together the Aurora Rising series. I've read both of those and I love them. I have never read anything strictly by Jay Kristoff. I would like to read the Nevernight series, but this one really intrigues me because he's doing a vampire series, and it sounds like the kind of vampire series I would really like. Because I love reading about vampires when it's like the nitty-gritty, creepy, disturbing, bloody vampires. That's the kind of vampires I read about. Don't give me the Twilight stuff. I want disturbing, creepy vampires. And this is what it sounds like he's written in here. I don't really know a lot about this, except it's supposed to be like a dystopian, I believe. The idea of the world being overtaken by vampires, I think that's all I know about it. And it sounds really fascinating. And I like the idea of him taking vampires and making it really dark, because there's another series I read. I'm blanking out on the name of the series. It's not over here. It's on the other side of my bookshelf, and I'm completely blanking out on it. But it is by Julie Kagawa, and it is one of my favorite dystopian series, and favorite writing of how vampires are. I just love it. It is so good, and I'm frustrated that I can't remember the name of the series, but it's by Julie Kagawa, and it's so good. So I'm a little hesitant on this just because I've never read anything strictly by Jay Kristoff before. I'm afraid it's going to be a little bit too dark and heavy for me, because I think he writes pretty gritty stuff, at least what I heard with the Nevernight series. So I'm a little nervous about getting into it, and I'm not 100% sure if I will, but I kind of want to because I'm interested. So, okay. Those are all the books. I'm sorry this was such a long video. This is almost 30 minutes long. My apologies. But those are 20 books I'm hoping to get to in the fall. Hopefully I will. I don't know. We'll see. I hope that you have found maybe some new ones to try out as well. Let me know down below if you have any suggestions for some other spooky books. Let me know if any of these stuck out to you and you're like, oh man, thanks for telling me about this. Added it to my TBR. Let me know. I always get so excited when people take my recommendations. And if you do read them, let me know. And let me know what you think about them. Because I'm really excited about spooky season. On this side of the video over here is my logo. If you click on that, you can subscribe to my channel and follow me on my spooky book journey. And this side of the video over here is a suggestion for another video if you want to watch another one right now. But thank you so much for watching. You rock. And don't forget to keep reading. Bye.